Stop scrolling! Hailey Bieber just drew a line in the sand, and Justin Bieber's spiral looks a lot more serious. For weeks we've watched cryptic captions, late-night rants, awkward public sightings, and a parade of headlines asking the same question. Is this just stress, or something far darker? Now, insiders whisper about legal intervention, fans compare it to Britney-era control, and every new post feels like a flare from a sinking ship. Hailey's been the steady one, but even her patience has limits, especially with a newborn and a billion-dollar brand to protect. Is this love under pressure, or the prelude to a courtroom decision that changes everything? Tonight, we connect the dots, the IG breadcrumbs, the loyalty monologues, the family retreat, and why lawyers are suddenly in the chat. If you think you've seen this story before, think again, because this time, the stakes include a marriage, a legacy, and a baby. This is where a messy timeline turns into a legal minefield. Over the last few weeks, whispers about a possible conservatorship have shifted from stan gossip to step-by-step explainers on what it would take to legally take control of Justin's life. Here's the blunt truth. California tightened the rules after the Britney saga, but it didn't slam the door. A court would still consider it if there's documented medical evidence of incapacity, consistent patterns of unsafe behavior, or direct risk to himself. Why does this chatter feel different? Because coverage isn't just speculating. It's outlining the roadmap, position declarations, capacity evaluations, fiduciary oversight, and limits that could extend to finances, healthcare decisions, and in extreme scenarios, parenting arrangements. And like it or not, the spouse is the person a court would listen to first simply because the law prioritizes the closest, most involved adult. Fans are torn. Some argue Justin needs therapy, time away, and boundaries, not a judge. Others say waiting risks escalation, and that Hailey or his mother stepping in could stop a freefall. Both can be true. What everyone agrees on is the optics. Every chaotic public moment becomes potential Exhibit A, and every cryptic post reads like another red flag. Bottom line, conservatorship is the nuclear option. If it ever moved forward, it wouldn't be overnight drama. It would be paperwork, doctors, hearings, and consequences that change everything. And once granted, rolling it back is hard. The second the word conservatorship enters a celebrity conversation, every casual observer becomes a courtroom historian. People don't just see Justin's situation in isolation, they see it through Britney's lens. 13 years of Yezerk Free Britney trained the internet to clock the warning signs, the off appearances, the teary posts, the insiders who speak in careful riddles. Whether fair or not, that history rewires how audiences read Justin now. A messy selfie isn't just a messy selfie, it's suddenly Exhibit A in a narrative fans think they already know. That shadow does two things at once. First, it inflates the stakes. The public remembers how a legal solution designed to protect ended up feeling like a cage, and they're terrified of the same machinery being rolled towards someone else. Second, it compresses the timeline. Instead of patience for private recovery, the crowd expects a plot twist by next week. Papers filed, lawyers quoted, a decision made. Social media accelerates this. One cryptic caption becomes 1,000 stitches, headlines echo the loudest theory, and the algorithm rewards the darkest read. It's also about optics. When a star looks disoriented in public, the Britney Memory Palace supplies the subtext: control, surveillance, handlers. When a spouse is calm and strategic, the same memory paints them as potential gatekeeper or savior, depending on the viewer's bias. No new facts needed. The template fills itself in. That's why this chapter matters for your storytelling. You're not just covering a week of posts, you're navigating a decade of audience trauma. And until Justin breaks the pattern decisively, every new post risks being read as proof of a pattern. Up next, the fan split. How comment sections, stitches, and stan accounts are steering the narrative faster than any PR team can. Every time Justin posts, the comments split into two camps. Get help, we love you, and this is spiraling. The feed itself fuels it. Late-night dumps, rough mirror selfies, captions that read like diary pages, frustration, defiance, then sudden philosophy. Fans clock the pattern. A vulnerable line, a defensive paragraph, a moral of the story about love versus loyalty. It's raw, but the volume and frequency make it feel like a public unraveling. Then come the flashpoints that dominate stitches and reaction channels. The bathroom photo that looks unkempt, interpreted as, "I don't care anymore." The screenshot asking an AI if ketamine can control emotions, instantly clipped, debated, and stitched into longer narratives about self-medication versus supervised therapy. The carousel where he's holding the baby in one swipe and smoking in the next. No proof the child was exposed, but perception moves faster than facts, and the comments read like a courtroom. Even neutral posts turn into Rorschach tests. A verse about freedom becomes evidence of mania to some, a sign of spiritual grounding to others. A studio pic sparks hope, then frustration when nothing drops. And anytime he praises another artist or defends someone online, the question boomerangs, where is this energy when Hailey is getting dragged? What keeps retention sky high is the roller coaster rhythm. One tender line followed by a combative one, silence followed by a flood. It's not just content, it's cliffhanger formatting. The audience isn't waiting for a single announcement, they're waiting for the next post, the next caption, the next clue. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Hailey has been the constant while everything else flickers. Publicly, she keeps it measured, smiles at events, brand milestones, the neutral caption. Privately, she's exhausted, split between a newborn, a business, and a husband whose mood can flip a room. When Justin looks unsteady, critics frame her as passive. When she sets boundaries, they call it cold. Either way, she gets blamed. What does support look like when love collides with liability? For months, Hailey has tried soft power, routine, family time, stepping back from messy threads. But support isn't invisibility, it's scaffolding. It means scheduling structure, insisting on doctors, drawing lines around sleep, substances, and stress. The audience rarely sees that work. They only see whether the fire is out. This is where narratives split. One camp casts Hailey as a stabilizer, an adult in a storm. Another reads the same posture as control, worrying she could be pushed toward legal solutions that feel protective in theory and suffocating in practice. The stakes are heavier now. There's a child, a company, and a reputation that bleeds into everything. Deals, partnerships, friendships. So Hailey threads a needle. She can't fix Justin, she can fortify the house. She can't silence the internet, she can refuse to feed it. And if she chooses the hardest version of love, firm, consistent, it won't trend. But it might be the only path that doesn't turn their life into exhibits and affidavits. Call it what you want, a strategic retreat, a family reset, or a soft exile from Los Angeles. But the move toward quiet water and long drives is not just vibes, it's a pressure valve. Away from paparazzi grids and dinner spot ambushes, you get the first thing any recovery plan needs: distance. Less noise, fewer triggers, more predictable days. That matters. A lake house is not a cure, but it's a container, somewhere you can rebuild boring, healthy routines without the audience turning every errand into a headline. Here's the trade. You gain privacy, you lose momentum. For an artist, that can feel like defeat. For a parent, it looks like wisdom. The question is what story they choose to tell from that quiet. Version A is the comeback arc. Measured absence, structured care, low-drama posts, and a clean runway to re-enter with work that sounds intentional, not impulsive. Version B is the slow fade, sporadic posts, rumor-driven updates, and an algorithm that moves on without them. One path requires uncomfortable discipline, doctors, therapy blocks, sober calendars, real boundaries. The other requires nothing except the willingness to watch the narrative get written for you. For Hailey, the Idaho chapter is branding jujitsu. Wholesome visuals, lifestyle calm, mom-first routine, product lines that feel aligned with wellness over chaos. For Justin, it's a chance to decouple the studio from pressure, create without the countdown, relearn the difference between silence and failure. If they're smart, they'll build release gates, quarterly check-ins, not daily confessions, music teased with craft, not crisis, joint appearances with clear scripting so nothing spirals into a headline mid-sentence. Because here's the truth, geography won't save them, habits will. The lake buys time, what they do with that time decides the future. Either this becomes the quiet chapter that heals the plot, or the quiet vacuum where the plot writes itself without them. At the end of the day, this isn't about headlines or hashtags. It's about two people trying to hold a life together while the internet keeps score. Maybe the Idaho quiet is a reset. Maybe it's a pause before the next storm. What matters now is structure, honest help, and boundaries that protect a baby, a marriage, and a legacy. If Justin wants a comeback, it starts with boring consistency. If Hailey wants peace, it starts with saying no to chaos. Either way, the next chapter won't be written by comments, it'll be written by choices. Tell me your take below.